Hi everyone, it's Mark here again. I'm the founder of the Arts and Culture Network. Thank you for joining us to watch this today. This is the best bit of the job for me. This is where I get to introduce you to one of our full members and their work. And I'm delighted that Eric Hatch has joined me from Cincinnati today. Eric, thank you for coming along.
Real pleasure.
Eric's one of our full members and a photographer. I've just been browsing his website and I feel like I've just done a world tour. It's fantastic to browse it. So what we're going to do, Eric, is I'm going to create your fantasy cultural year from the answers to some easy questions. But before we do that, I'd like to give you the opportunity to say hi to everybody and tell us a little bit about the work and how you came to be such an established and experienced photographer. And while you're doing that, I'm going to open up your website and so show some of the work. And perhaps you could give us the backstory and the narrative for some of those images. Is that okay?
All right. Let's
Great.
see.
All yours.
Okay, I've been a photographer since I won my first photographic award at age 12. It was a
Wow.
picture looking straight up the mast of the Charles W. Morgan, which was a whaler in Mystic Seaport, Connecticut. And it really wasn't a very good photograph, but the concept was great. As
Well,
a matter
yeah.
of fact, about 3 years ago, I was in Scotland and I went to their transportation museum and reshot that same shot with a different ship. And believe me, it was much better.
Oh, wow. That's great. What a story. And I noticed from your work, and I'm going to pull some of it up, that you've got a number of different areas of interest, from environment to
Yeah.
structures to places, and the portraits were remarkable. I think you state on the website that a portrait is not just a depiction of a face. It's much more than that. And I think you're absolutely right. And some of them fall into the category that I love in portrait photography. A good portrait will tell you something about the subject. A great portrait will tell you something about yourself. And that happens with
Mm.
some of the pictures. I can almost feel the backstory, or in some of them, the pain even, and the joy that is sitting behind those people.
Well, you may not have known it, but there's a website called facesofaddiction.net, which is a collection of 50 portraits of addicted persons, treating them as human beings, not as gargoyles.
I think you and I, when we last met, you mentioned that, and I had a look. It's incredible, very
Yeah,
powerful.
that's as good as I can do in portraiture.
Yeah, no, it's
And
great.
all with available light, by the way.
Yeah, so no flash, no lighting.
Only in one case did I have to use a little fill flash.
Right. Okay. Well, this is great. So let's have a quick whistle stop tour of
Okay.
of your website and the work. I love the logo here because that implies these glacier edges and the mountain ranges that you're so fond of. So, where would we start? Shall we go through the featured project first? Is that
Well, sure. Let's take a look at that.
okay? So this is
Look,
Iceland.
right. Well, not entirely Iceland, but mostly.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. What do you want to do with
Well,
this?
I think let me just go back to the
Start with the photograph at the top of the page.
the glacier or the middle one.
No, scan up to the introduction to
Ah,
that
okay,
page.
yeah.
Yeah. Uh, what you're looking at is ice being heaved up by the movement of the glacier, and my only comment is you really don't want to try and ski it.
Absolutely. Or walk it even. Yeah.
Yeah, and where I am standing is on a lateral moraine of this glacier at one point, and also it's at the top of another glacier that went off at right angles that is no longer there. So I hiked up that whole thing to get to this point.
Right. It's a wonderful picture. There's a hint at where you're standing down here, isn't there?
Yeah, just on the lower
Uh,
left, you can
and,
get an idea of it.
and when were you there?
That was 22.
Right. Okay. And then what we can explore, and I should point out to everyone, the link will be in the profile where this appears, but this is at hatchphotoartistry.com. And I think you mentioned another website where some of your work is.
Okay, there's a total of three. There's hatchphotoartistry.com, which is where we are right now.
Yeah.
There's facesofaddiction.net, and the woman on the right in this picture occurs on facesofaddiction.net, which is a collection of 50 portraits of addicted persons.
And they are all by you or by
They're
arrange?
all by me,
Right.
all of them.
Okay.
And then the third one is called Glaciers in Retreat.
Yep.
And that is entirely about glaciers and retreat. It's got some text, and it demonstrates the process of global warming. What happens was when people see those pictures, and particularly when they see them large in the exhibition form, they're greatly moved by them. People love glaciers, and my idea is to make their hearts hurt enough so they'll do something.
Yeah. I found this one in your gallery as well, which is, I
Yes,
think this is Iceland.
that's also one of my favorites.
I think you called it something like Road to Beyond or something like that, or
I think it's The Beckoning Road, but it has a
that's it.
subtitle. It has a subtitle,
Right,
or the First Day of Therapy.
right. Excellent. And some of the striking ones are those basalt structures in Iceland. I spotted those as well.
Yeah, Iceland is lousy with the stuff because it's basically leftover lava.
Yeah, yeah, wonderful. Okay, so if you'd like to explore more of Eric's work, this is one of the websites that we mentioned, and the links will be in the profile. And as I'm noticed down here that some of these images can be acquired. I assume those are they limited edition prints that
Well, they're print to order.
right. Okay, and any size you can go quite large.
Um, well, I shoot with cameras that will produce out of the camera 25 by 20, no, 27 by 23 inches.
Right. So
You know,
that's
so
already quite large. That's
yeah,
yeah.
and you can enlarge from that to anything.
Yeah. Excellent. Okay.
So
Well,
there's really no limit. I've produced 4 by 6 pictures very happily.
right. Excellent.
That's feet, not meters.
Yes. Okay, there we go. There's the work. So thank you for showing us that and for being one of our full members. Now I'm going to have some fun with you. This is a fantasy cultural year. I am in complete control. I can arrange anything for you. Okay. Now, to start your journey, I need to place you somewhere in the world, and you've seen more of it than most. So, I'd like to ask you if you have a favorite building.
The Sydney Opera House.
Lovely. It's iconic. I don't think I need to pull that up for people to see, but that's a great place to start. So it's a whistle.
And I've not been there, so
No, neither have I. But excuse me. So for the purposes of our fantasy cultural year, I'd like you to imagine that you're sitting at a pavement cafe, a pop-up cafe on the terrace there in the sunshine in front of the Sydney Opera House. It's 6 p.m., the sun is shining, and you've been enjoying a relaxing hour after having been to an event in the Opera House. On your right, on your table there is a book. What would I find nestled next to you? What it could be a favorite book. It could be a book that's been with you all your life, or it could be a recent discovery. What would I find there?
oh my word. Well, I'm currently rereading all of Patrick O'Brien's Maturin Aubrey series. You will
Love it.
remember Master and Commander, which was one of those books.
It's got one of the wittiest lines in it. Why is it called the dog watch? Because it is curtailed.
And Aubrey came up with that and was so pleased with himself.
He
He thinks he
was,
has a
wasn't
great sense of humor, and everybody else knows it's rather limited.
it? No, that I've read them all at least once. Love it. Yeah.
Now I bought a collected set, and I'm working my way straight through.
Right. I went to his favorite pub in London. It's in Rotherhithe. It's almost a shrine to him. It's on the
Hmm.
south bank of the River Thames, and it's called the Gun. And I think it features in some of his books.
Well, I should go there.
You
That would
should.
be another
There we
stop
go.
on this tour.
Well, let's book it in. Right. So there's also a drink next to you. What would the drink be at 6 p.m. on a sunny afternoon?
Depend. That depends. Either a gin and tonic or more likely a really good Talisker or Oban.
Oh, nice. You can have a gin and tonic with a Talisker chaser. There we go.
Uh, and go to sleep immediately.
Yes. Excellent. Now you're feeling quite pleased with yourself because you've just come from a meeting in the Sydney Opera House, during which you met the representatives of a very wealthy Australian family foundation who like to support research in the arts, and they've discovered you and your work, and they would like you to uh, spend a year studying photography in an emerging country, okay, or a country that you think has been underrepresented in the world of photography and its photographers. Now, it's um, it's a very well-paid trip, okay? It's first class all the way. You'll have an apartment or a house in the location that you choose with staff. You'll have access to a car and driver and a helicopter. And
Great.
yes, and you'll be making notes for a book. The book deal has already been arranged. You'll be doing a TED talk and a lecture tour when you get back. And there may well be a television series in it. So
Is this a place I've never gone?
it doesn't have to be, it can be anywhere you like.
I'm
So
going right back. I'm going back to Alaska.
back to Alaska. Wonderful. Okay. So you're on the plane, okay? Heading for what's the state capital of Alaska? I'm trying Anchorage. No,
Juneau.
Juneau, that's right. That's a great trivia question because I know most of the other state capitals, but I didn't know that one. So Juneau, you're on the way to Juneau. Um, you turned left on the aeroplane because you're traveling first class, and the steward brings you a Talisker and a gin and tonic and a note from the family foundation. And they'd like to study you a little bit while you're doing this for them. And what they'd like you to do is to limit your musical listening to one very specific genre of music, perhaps even one artist or band or group. Who would it be?
That is a tough question. I am a classical music singer,
Right.
and choosing one from all that rep is,
I know. It's to the exclusion of all else, I'm afraid. You can have a top,
yeah.
you can have a
Well,
genre.
I'm going to go back and do something by Josquin des Prez.
Wow. Okay, that does take us back. Okay, that's fine. Now, you arrive at Juneau. There's a group of photographers, young photographers who admire your work, waiting for you to welcome you with your name on a card. They whisk you into a truck with your luggage, and they they take you off to. Would you like to be in Juneau or rural for your
Rural, get the
right?
heck out of Juneau. And you can't, the trouble with Juneau is you really have to take a boat to get out of the place.
Right. Well, we'll take a boat and we're going to
So we'll take the ferry.
take the ferry.
We'll ferry up to Anchorage, and from there, it's going to be heading north.
Right. I'm going to find you your home. I'm going to find you a beautiful is Anchorage on the coast?
Anchorage is on the, well, yes, it's on the Turnagain Arm. It's a
Right.
very long inlet, is where it is.
Okay. Well, I'm just going to here we go. I found you your house. Um this is where you're going to be staying. There we go.
I can hardly see it, but it looks like a tiny little place.
It's lovely. Or there's this one. Or we could go for these are. Oh, that looks more impressive. How about that one?
No, that's fine.
Yeah, there you go. That's where you're going to be spending your base will be. Okay. So, your friends drop you off and they say, look, we're going back into Juneau tonight for a dance performance and then out to dinner. Now, in my magical world here, it can be any dance performance you like, any dancer, living or not, any dance group or any dance style. I'll just wave my arts and culture magic wand and there it will be on the stage. It could be fictitious, it could be fantasy, it could be something you would have loved to have seen but never did, but it must be a dance performance of some kind. So,
Nureyev.
Nureyev,
Mm-hmm. Rite
excellent.
of Spring.
Oh, yes. Did he perform in the first one in 1913?
I have no idea.
No, because there was a riot in Paris when they played that.
Oh, yes, that I
Yeah.
know.
Um, and okay, Nureyev, Rite of Spring. Fantastic. Love that. Now, what about a national cuisine for dinner after the show? You don't have to stay local.
Oh, now you've given me a problem because I enjoy cuisines. I love world cooking. Um, oh, what do I want? Well, I'm in Alaska, so it's going to be salmon.
Yeah. And one of your images is of subsistence salmon fishermen, isn't it?
Hmm.
Yeah,
That's true. Yeah, king salmon. I think make it a king salmon, which is a species as well as a size,
right.
uh, a subspecies,
Okay.
and they are delicious. I'd
Fantastic.
get one caught from the Copper River.
Yes. And would it be a French style Italian or how or
Very simple. I'd have it planked, grilled on a plank,
right? A bit of salt and pepper, tiny bit of olive oil, and away you
and
go.
just a tad of lemon juice.
Yeah. Oh, you've got my mouth watering now. There we go. So that's dinner. Now the next day in Alaska and Juneau is sport day, and many people consider some sports to constitute performance art. We have
Dog racing,
dog racing.
sled racing.
Oh wow, mush mush.
We're there for the start. We happen to be there for the start of the Nome to Juneau dog race.
Okay. Yeah. So, and would you like to sit on the sled, or would you like to be
God, no.
diving?
I just want to watch the start.
Oh, okay. Excellent. Brilliant. Okay. That's a first. I told you we'd get surprises. That's a first. That's brilliant. I love that. Now,
And it's Fairbanks to Nome is what it is.
right. Yeah, it's an annual event, I
Yeah.
think, isn't it? Yeah. Great. And is it one where they stagger the starts or do they all start at the same time?
They stagger the starts.
Yeah. Because that would be carnage, wouldn't it? Can you imagine getting to the first corner?
Yeah, and the dog A from sled A would probably tackle dog B from sled B, and now look what happens.
Brilliant.
Can I share a very short story?
Yes, please do.
You know Robert Service's poems,
I've heard the name. I'm not intimate with
The
the poem.
Cremation of Sam McGee.
Mm-hmm.
I have actually stood on the marge of Lake Labarge,
Ah.
which is which is the opening line of the poem.
Oh, I've got a similar story. I was touring in New England, um, and with the orchestra I was playing with at the time, it was a youth orchestra, and I had my headphones on and an old cassette Walkman, Sony Walkman, and um, I saw the sign and heard the lyric at the same time,
Wow. What
counting
was
the
it?
counting the cars on the New Jersey Turnpike. Simon and Garfunkel. That was
Now I'm
brilliant.
from New England, by the way. That's
Ah,
where that's where I was brought up.
yeah. I counting the cars on the New Jersey Turnpike, and there was the sign, New Jersey Turnpike. It was just incredible. And 3 days.
That's too big a coincidence, you know.
Oh, it's
That's God
incredible.
having a joke.
Yeah. He had a bad joke because 2 days later was the concert in the park in Central Park.
Ooh.
And we were traveling out of New York City. So, and that was a free concert. And my drummer hero, Steve Gadd, was playing on that. So I missed it, but there we
And
go.
what do you play?
I'm a percussionist and a drummer.
Oh,
So
wow.
yeah, so
Do you do timpani?
I do. I majored in timpani at the Guildhall School of Music and Drama in London.
Wow, I'm
And I played
impressed.
for 12 years in the City of Birmingham Symphony Orchestra with
I used to stand directly behind the timpanist of the Cincinnati Symphony when I was singing with the May Festival Choir.
Mm, it's a very absolutely it's a very powerful position. You're going the speed I want to go to, Mr. Conductor. Um, what's the difference between a bull and an orchestra?
Well, this is presumably to be G-rated.
It's a joke, yes. What's the difference between a bull and an orchestra? One
Hmm.
has the horns at the back and the arse at the front. There we go. And there's a lovely series of movies from the 60s in the UK called the Carry On movies. I don't know if you've seen any of them.
No, I'm not familiar with them.
And they're very funny.
The Carry On Nurse, I think I've heard of that one.
Yeah,
I've seen that one.
it's particularly British silly humor, but on one of the ones they're all in an orchestra and they were discussing about what they were doing last week and said, "Oh, I did Beethoven 9 last week. Oh, who was conducting? Oh, I don't know. I didn't look." But there we go. I've got some very funny percussion stories that if we get a chance to tell, I will. They've grown in the telling. Anyway, we're halfway there. We're yes, so we've done the sport. Now in Anchorage,
Well, I do want to correct you about something. We're
please
not
do.
hanging out in Juneau. Juneau is not a cultural hub.
No,
If we're
you've
hanging out
got this.
someplace
Yeah,
that's cultural, it's got to be Anchorage.
okay. In Anchorage, then there is a new digital art gallery.
That's entirely possible.
Yes. In my world, in my magical world, it's absolutely possible. So, and it allows you to put on a virtual reality headset and
Hmm.
and effectively step into the work of a great artist.
Oh,
So, whose work, which famous artist's work would you like to explore in 360-degree three dimensions?
either Van Gogh or Manet.
Okay. Well, there's a double header exhibition and you can do both. Van Gogh
Okay.
and Manet. Yeah.
I've,
Excellent.
I thought about that because getting into the world of Van Gogh is a pretty scary place to be.
Yeah. And then Manet would be the light relief afterwards. So,
Right.
right. Excellent. That's great. Now, next, where's my questions gone here? You'd think have memorized these by now. Now, I'm flying out to Anchorage to meet you, and we're going to go on a world tour quickly in our private jet. And this is all paid for by the wealthy Australian family, which is lovely.
Right.
We're going to go to a pop or rock concert on Monday. We're going to a theatre play on Tuesday. We're going to a West End or Broadway musical on Wednesday. We're going to the opera on Thursday, and we're going to a film on Friday. Now, it can be anywhere in the world, and it can be any production. It can be the original cast. It can be whatever. It can be something you would have loved to have seen, but perhaps missed. So if you could go to any pop or rock concert, past or present, anywhere in the world, what would you like? Which artist, band, or group would you like to see?
Oh, I would revisit Woodstock.
Ooh, what a great choice. Yeah, we'll do the VIP treatment. We won't be slumming it with everyone else. We'll do the
Well, I'll tell you that I was asked to go to Woodstock and didn't, but my brother and his two buddies did.
wow.
And they came back wet, muddy, disreputable, stoned, and very happy.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah.
And I've always wondered if I made the right choice or the wrong one on that.
Interesting. Yeah, it might have changed the direction of your life. My biggest regret was not seeing Bob Marley live in 1975 in London. I was about 11. I know. What I was I? No, I was 9. No, I was 12. And my parents said they'd take me. I was a huge fan, and we didn't go. It's a shame. He died shortly afterwards, I think, well, in 81. So anyway, now,
Well, as long as we have really good umbrellas or a small tent, we can go to Woodstock.
okay, we'll do that. Now we're flying to either Broadway or London for a theatre play. Do you have a favorite theatre play?
A favorite.
Or what would you like to see?
What would I like to see again or see in
See again or see for the first time?
Carol Burnett as in her debut role in Once Upon a Mattress?
Okay, that's a first as well. We'll do that. That's Tuesday covered, Carol Burnett. And what about a musical while we're there?
Well, that is a musical.
Of course, yeah.
You want another musical?
Yeah, another musical.
Hmm.
Or a Shakespeare play if you prefer.
Well, I'm just trying to. There's a very broad range of choices. If it's Shakespeare, I want to see Macbeth.
Okay, I studied that at school. Yeah, out via
As we all did.
out. Yeah, we did, I think. Um, Ironically, it's the play that you're not meant to name in a theatre, but
I know that.
bad luck.
Bad luck.
And then they chose that one to teach us.
Well, you weren't. Were you in a theater?
No. So
Oh, then it's
okay.
safe.
It's safe. What about an opera? Do you have a favorite opera?
Hmm. Let's see. I don't really. I like opera, but I don't have a particular favorite.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Well, let's go with Aida.
Aida. Lovely.
I've been the 15th villager on the left, so
Right. Holding a spear. Excellent. Yeah. Verdi's Aida with the Grand March. Fantastic. Um, and finally, for this week of culture together, a film. If we had the cinema to ourselves, the theatre house to ourselves, wonderful, best seats in the house, what film would you like to watch on a big?
oh my word. I'm going to give you a choice of two.
Okay.
One is My Man Godfrey,
Mm-hmm.
and the other is 2001.
Space Odyssey.
Yep.
Yeah. Excellent.
Now, mind you, this is there are so many wonderful films. I'm a film guy. I love film.
Mm,
So
yeah.
those are more or less the Godfrey one is because I've done the stage adaptation for it,
Right.
and the 2001 is because it's got the best match cut ever done, where the bone goes up in the air and matches the rotation of the space station.
I'm going to look out for that next time I watch it.
Well, the now suddenly energized ape hurls this bone
mm,
up into the sky, and it goes up and it goes up and it's rotating, and then it matches the rotation of the space station.
oh wow. I'm going to
And
I'll find the short clip of that. That's
yeah, that is the world's all-time great match cut.
right. I'm going to remember that one. Now we're nearly there.
Yeah.
Next day is, I'm calling it Hero Day. I've booked a restaurant in Anchorage for you for a leisurely 2-hour lunch. It's a Michelin 3-star restaurant. It's very good.
Not in Anchorage, it isn't, but okay.
There's a pop-up Michelin 3-star. And you can invite anybody, any single person to that lunch, living or not, famous or otherwise. Who would you want to spend 2 hours with over lunch? And they will come.
Buckminster Fuller,
Now, I know the name. Tell me more.
inventor of the geodesic dome,
Yeah.
inventor of a three-wheel automobile,
Buckminster Fuller, that's a
the
name.
name of which has suddenly escaped me. Buckminster Fuller was an incredibly productive man. I mean, is a raving genius as well as with a good sense of humor.
Wow.
So,
So
yeah.
Buckminster Fuller. Now, in a slight twist to this question, okay,
All right.
who do you think Buckminster Fuller would want there with you?
His wife.
Great. Lovely. That's excellent. Now, we're nearly there. You're on the way home. Okay, the book deal's done. You've got enough in the can for a TV series. You're booked for your TED talk about photography in Alaska.
I would like to do a TED talk on climate change and glaciology, particularly.
You could. You're perfectly qualified. You've seen it and you've documented it. You've seen it happen. So that would be, yeah, TED talk on a bit with you're using your art, the photography to illustrate the talk. I think that would be great. Yeah.
Right.
Um,
For glaciology 101, but more upon not just what's happening, but the impact of it.
yeah. Okay. So you're on the plane on the way home after this wonderful year. The steward brings you your Talisker and your gin and tonic again.
No, he brings me the Talisker. That'll do. We'll
The
stay with that.
Talisker, okay, the Talisker. And another note from the family foundation who funded your trip saying that they've lifted the limitation on only listening to Dupre. So what's the first piece of music that's not by him that you'd want to listen to that you hadn't heard for 12 months?
Jeez. Britain's the War Symphony.
Do you mean the War Requiem?
Yeah.
Yeah, the one with two orchestras, the large orchestra and the small orchestra.
Hmm.
Yeah, War Requiem, Britain. Oh,
Yeah. I've
love
sung
that.
it twice. I haven't, but not in 20 years. So, yeah.
Yeah, me too. I played in it, but not for over 20 years.
Well, the Tempest has a job in that.
Yeah, absolutely. We live about an hour and a half away from Aldborough, which was Benjamin Britten's seaside home in Suffolk.
Wow.
And we're often up there at the Red House, where he used to live. And the Snape Maltings, I don't know if you're familiar with them, but he was the driving force behind the establishment of a really wonderful concert hall on the Norfolk Broads, on the Suffolk Broads there. And we're often up there. It's a wonderful place. I did the Britten Peers Orchestral School course one summer as well. But excellent. Yes, that's a wonderful choice. I love that. I'm going to have to listen to it again. And Sea Pictures is just such an evocative representative of that coastline for me as well. Excellent.
There's something I'll share with you that I managed to spend 2 summers singing with some people from the Tallis Scholars and another 40 people from all over the world.
Mm-hmm.
And I love the early music, but we were performing it in cathedrals which were designed for human voice. No organ, they weren't designed for organs, they weren't designed for orchestras, they were designed for people's voices.
Mm.
And the effect of that and the emotion of that music gets me to this day, the opportunity to do that,
Yeah.
behind which there's a very funny story that I won't bore you with.
Next time, next edition, folks.
Yeah.
Have you ever sung Spem in Allium?
No, that one I have not done.
Yeah, there's a wonderful movie called Gideon's Daughter with Bill Nighy, and it's featured in that quite prominently because his girlfriend in the movie is in an amateur choir and they're singing it. There are something like something crazy like 16 different parts going on.
Yeah, it's Talus, and it's something closer to 50.
50 different lines. Yeah. I mean, how do you
Yeah,
write?
it's some staggering number. I know people who have sung it. I have not. I would not be able to. I'd get lost.
Yeah, it's kind of almost like fugue-like rolling entries and building up those and it reaches a climax where all the singers stop and then start again. It's so if you're not concentrating, you're probably still singing when you shouldn't be.
You'd better count very carefully.
Yes. Well, I'm a percussionist. I used to play the triangle. I can count.
You can count. Good, at least to three, one side of each bang on the triangle.
Oh, it's the 1 2 3 4 2 2 3 4 3 2 3 4 4 2 3 4 5 2 3 4 6 2 3 4 7 2 3 4. Yeah, and there's a lovely tradition in the percussion sections of orchestras where you mark the letters. So as you approach letter A in the piece, which could be 64 bars away, everybody touches their face.
Now
So
that I did not know. Is that
yeah,
only a British tradition or is it worldwide?
I think it's worldwide. Some different orchestras do different things. Some tap their foot. So all you got, if you're lost, all you got to do is look out for somebody's foot going down. That's figure A, and then you're back in. Um, yeah, it's a lifeline. It really is. So because it's very funny if people are marking the letter at different points, because then it causes chaos. Who's right? You know. And if it's there's one story I'll leave you with about my cymbal playing. When I was in a youth orchestra, I played in the youth proms at the Royal Albert Hall, and I didn't know, but they were zooming in on me as I did a very quiet cymbal clash. Okay. And it was in the middle of nowhere, very difficult to count towards the end of the piece. And there was nobody else playing anything else. So there was no one's foot to watch to find out where I was. So, and of course I got absolutely lost. But what I didn't realize was that the camera was going to be coming right in at me.
Oh no.
Yeah. So I was like, the whole of the orchestra there, but it's like me there. And I had these two cymbals. And so this is what happened, right? So I picked up the cymbals,
God.
got them ready like this. And I was like, and this is what happened. I missed it. I missed it and put them down, but I didn't know it was live TV, and so I effectively mouthed the word "fuck" to the whole of the nation, and embarrassed myself horribly.
But you
Anyway,
survived it.
I survived it, yes. Eric, thank you so much for being a good sport and doing this today. It's a lovely way to get to know more about you and the work you do and what makes your super passions, as I call them. So thank you again, and thank you so much for being one of our full members. We're entirely member funded, and so it's very much appreciated. I hope you've
Well, I had not expected to have really a great time doing this, but I had,
That's great to
largely
hear.
thanks to the quality of the host.
Ah, that's very kind of you. So wherever this appears, there'll be links to Eric's work and examples of his images. I get to choose my 6 favorites, which is going to be great, and links to the website. So, but for the time being, Eric, thank you so much for joining me for your fantasy cultural year.
Thank you and take care.